Hi, and welcome to Tip Top Frequencies tutorial on how to make really inexpensive orgonite. Alright, the first thing you're going to want to do is get yourself some fiberglass resin. You're going to want to get some steel wool. Definitely prefer that really fine grade, like that. You're going to want to get some kind of mold. I personally prefer a pyramid, it's just my style. You're going to want to get some olive oil or some cooking spray. Gonna want to get some gloves. You can use latex. I prefer vinyl. Also gonna want to get a respirator, definitely. Gonna want to get some paint mixing sticks. You're also gonna want to get some sand, and when you get this sand, make sure it contains quartz. It's very important. You're gonna want to get a handy paint cup too. I was able to get all this stuff for like 38 bucks at Home Depot. Everything except the oil and the pyramid mold. Alright, first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put some gloves on, just like that. You're going to want to put that respirator on, boy. Next thing you're going to want to do is pop that lid off of that olive oil and place your mold ever so gently into it, just like that. Alright, give it a little spritz so the piece doesn't stick to the mold. Very important. Get that good old paint cup ready to go. Get that resin ready to go. Look into the camera like that. Pop that lid off of that resin. And what I'm doing here was I was getting an X-Acto knife so I can poke a hole into the hardener just like that, so it's ready to go as soon as I'm ready to go. Alright, just like that. Alright, here we go. You're gonna want to get that steel wool and just place it in your workspace just so it's ready to go as soon as you are, just like that. Alright, here we go. You're gonna want to take some of that resin and you're gonna want to keep it pouring into the paint cup. You're gonna want a pretty good amount in there. You gotta fill that pyramid mold up, so you know you're gonna want to put the appropriate amount in there. Next step, you're going to want to get some of that sand and you're going to pour that into the resin. You're going to want to put a decent amount in there too, because quartz is one of your main ingredients for this stuff, and that stuff is only a percentage of quartz, so you're going to want to put a good amount of it in there. One thing that's really important about this part is when you're pouring it in there, you're going to want to salt base style it, just like that. It's very important, and it might not come out properly if you don't do that. Alright, you're going to want to make sure you get all of it in there. Boom, just like that. Alright, what I'm doing right here is I'm opening my package of paint sticks, and I'm getting my paint stick ready to go. Alright, just like that. Now what you're going to want to do is stir it around. Stir it, stir it, stir it. There you go. You're going to want to mix it up pretty good. You're going to want a nice, consistent batch of resin sand. Alright, just keep stirring, stirring, stirring. Stirring it up real good. Just like that. Alright, now I'm gonna be putting some of that hardener in there. There we go. I like to put a pretty decent amount in there because I don't like to have to wait a long time for my pieces to dry, so I kind of go ham with the hardener. You don't really have to. Also, the hotter it is, the less that you actually have to use. So, you know, depending on how hot it is outside is going to determine how much you're going to want to use. And stir that up really good, too. You're going to stir it up really good. Alright. Alright, put a little bit more in there. Stir it up, stir it up. You gotta stir it up real good. If you don't, it might not harden properly. There'll probably be some wet spots, some hard spots, and that's not good. Gotta be consistent. Alright, now what I'm doing is I'm pouring a little bit into the mold. Not all of it though. Just like that. Take that steel wool and then dip that into your resin. Make sure you don't get any of that stuff on your skin though. You don't want to do that, so you got to be pretty careful. Place that piece of steel wool covered in that resin, the sand resin, into your mold, just like that. And then continue to pour the rest of your mix on top, just like that. All right. Oh, looks so good. Alright, you're gonna make sure you fill it up to the tippy top too. That way you're, if you fill it up to the top, it's just gonna look better. There you go, you're gonna wanna make sure those corners are filled in. Very important, very important. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Alright, now I'm just making sure that it's even. You know, you want it to be consistent throughout the whole piece. And making sure that the mold is on there even is how you're going to do that. Alright. So now we, just make sure it's looking good, and then you gotta wait for it to harden. Maybe pour a little bit more on there, just like that. Make sure those corners are looking good. Alright. There we go. Take those gloves off and find something fun to do. Alright, now you're just going to want to wait a little while. It's going to take some time for it to dry, to harden, and one of the things you're going to want to do is, if you can, put it in direct sunlight, because it'll make the process much, much quicker. Trust me on that one. If you can do it, you might as well. You might as well. And keep in mind, this is just a tutorial on how to make really inexpensive orgonite, so your piece isn't going to look anything like, not as cool as something like this. Or this. But you're still gonna get all those cool orgone energy effects from it. So it's definitely worth giving this a shot if you've never done anything like this before. So just keep waiting, and wait for your piece to harden. Come back to it and pop that baby out of the mold, just like that. Boom, look what you got. Orgonite. It's really not the prettiest looking piece in the world. It's also not the ugliest piece in the world, but it's very inexpensive. And if you want me to make a tutorial on how to take a piece like this and make it look really good, let me know in the comments and I'll make that as my next video. So here you go, check it out. You want to make one of these? Just follow all the steps in this video, and there you go. Peace.